I'm a longtime fan, have seen them all, and I feel reinvigorated by this one.
Excellent.
I feel like my fandom is back. I'm curious, and I think a lot of that has to do with the John Kramer character. He's so compelling. There's always been this duality of him, of John Kramer and Jigsaw. I'm curious for you. I feel like you kind of put your thumb on the scale in this one. Who do you see John Kramer as? Is he the monster or the anti-hero?
I think that there's a degree at the end of this film where he's just a hero. You know, not necessarily in his behavior throughout the story, but at the end some things happen that I don't want to give away that just show that there is a humanity in there. It might be deep in there. It might be hard to find. We might not have seen any of it in most of the other Saw films. But in this one, we took the risk that Tobin Bell was going to be able to create an empathetic character who also does all these really questionable things.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and that's why we love him, right?
Exactly.
He's kind of a little bit of our id sometimes.
That's right.
So if John Kramer is the main character, the other is obviously the traps. I mean, there's so much opportunity as an artist creatively. Like, how, as an artist, where do you get your inspiration when you're designing these?
Yeah, I think the first thing I do is I really look at John Kramer. And I look at John and his story in this particular film. So it was really important for us to infuse the traps with the medical theme. You know, that was really important. He ends up in this factory, so we want to make sure that the traps were integrated with that. We love the fact that we're in Mexico, so we had a little bit of Mexico in the traps as well. And really, the objective is that we are true and we're genuine, and the audience invests in that. So, of course, they're diabolical. Of course, they show no mercy, you know, and they're rather inventive, just like John is as well.
That's very true. That is very true. I think about when I'm watching it, I'm caught up in the story, but I'm also thinking about the people that are in those traps because they're so terrifying. And I'm curious for you as a director, I'm sure you get great method performance out of people in those traps, but how do you balance getting the performance that you want and taking care of the actor who's actually in the machine?
Well, I mean, their level of sacrifice is very high, you know, because they often have to do the performance many, many times, particularly in the case of the woman who's doing this, like more so than any other scene in the film. We had to do that over and over again just to get all the camera angles we needed, because there's so many people in the room, and we wanted the scene to be as dynamic as we could. So, you know, that poor woman spent the whole day screaming, and then she spent the next day screaming, and then she had to come back the third day because we didn't quite finish that. So anyways, it is very hard, and you don't want an actor to blow their voice out with screaming, but you know, you do want them to scream. So there is some balance there, but all of these actors were pros, and they all really, really wanted to be in it and to do well. So it all paid off in the end.
Yeah, and I think you look at Octavio too. You know, he was in that brain surgery trap, you know, and it was really not that super comfortable, but he was a real trooper. Now, that being said, there's a famous rope scene, remember, where they make the rope?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And what's the opposite of that is that, this is amazing, is that Kevin got that in 2 takes.
Yeah,
it's really just wild.
We spent so much time developing the idea, and originally she was going to tie the rope to a pulley, and that would give it the weight it needed. And then on the day, we shot it and did it in real time, and it worked perfectly. And we're like, well, we need a second take. And we did it, and it worked exactly the same.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Great. People will be talking about that forever.
Yeah, I love that it is essentially that another puzzle. It fits perfectly.
Kind of, yeah.
What is it?
I don't know what the fuck all of these things are. Medical supplies, I think, and there's a fucking bone cutter.
The crane you're on?
I don't care what the fucking thing is called, Cecilia!